The monetary system still promotes an old language that is subject to interpretation instead of relying on one that is more efficient. It's a waste of information and leads to chaos, especially in the present, where information abounds through the internet.
So I went to the library and got a book out on the Wright brothers, but I was anxiety-ridden. I wanted to know how airplanes fly. And when I opened the book, it says it was a sunny day in May, and Mrs. Orville Wright was hanging clothing on the line. That bothered my ass no end. That didn't tell me what I want to know. The book, most of the book was sunny day in May, bullshit. Near the end of the book, they killed a pigeon and put wires in its wings and moved the wings forward and backward and long. That was information. All your school books have a lot of sunny day in May. And you have to learn how to read and scratch. So I get a lot of technical journals, and sometimes a doctor comes up with a wonderful idea. And in the book it says that Dr. Jones has 3 children, Shirley, Jennifer, and Bill. I don't want to know that. I just want to know what he did to make medicine better. But underneath that you can put, if you want to know about his life, you got that. There's so much information coming in the world today, we don't have time for sunny day in May.
You had commented to me earlier that eventually we might move out of the use of words themselves. Is that correct?
Well, Arthur C. Clarke put it one way. He said, there may be a language that computers use that has a high degree of referential meaning, but the language that the poets use and the language of love, he say humans might need 2 different languages, one romantic language and the other highly technical. And the romantic language is bound to create lots of problems, which that's where the problems really lie, in language that does not correspond to the real world. When you think, my God, that shouldn't have happened, these children were so young, it was a horrible thing, it shouldn't have happened. Whatever happens is real. What you think shouldn't have happened is unreal, and that's where you suffer. Your concept of reality can hurt you if it doesn't correspond with the physical world. You hear that all the time.
Yeah.
They were all so young and the building burnt to the ground. What's that got to do with anything? The answer to that question is buildings that are completely fireproof. And in earthquake zones, you have to design buildings that don't collapse, not made of stone, but welded steel is less apt to collapse. And if you use suspended structures or what they cable-stayed structures, they're less apt to collapse. So you see, talking the way we do is really irrelevant. Let me tell you how terrible our language is today. We say things like, have a nice weekend. You know, why don't you say, have a nice life? Go all the way.
Right.
Do you understand? We say, have a nice vacation. Have a nice life. Go all the way. In other words, our churches even bless our war tanks. This is all anti-Christ. They always need money for Jesus, or God needs money. God doesn't need any money. This is a human concept. So God bless America. Who the hell are you to tell God who to bless? Who are you to say God's on our side? You're doing God's thinking for him. Don't you see that yet? Well, the kids of the future will see that, and they'll say, couldn't you see that the monetary system created most corruption, most crime, wars and aggression, and environment shapes behavior, not some inborn gift? That environment shapes all aspects of human behavior, unless you have brain damage, which is also due to environment. Or malnutrition can also affect the brain. So you see, we need a lot of knowledge. People have to be better informed. And what is most difficult to do is to extract that which is most significant. That's what intelligence is. The ability to extract significance from many different situations, not an intelligence test.
two languages. One, not subject to interpretation, like mathematics, chemistry or physics, and another one, sentimental, like one that you're assisting right now, but improved by gestures, mimics, or another set of signs better organized and universal.
Remember, we speak in sentences because we have to take a breath. But if we had a turbo lung, you know what that means? Where air came in all the time, we wouldn't have to speak in sentences or write in sentences. It's because we run out of air, so we can fly, and then we say something else. See? You understand what I'm getting at? So I would say if there's any real advanced civilization that can travel millions of light years through space, they would have come to something like that. Instead of words being abrupt, they'd be like that, rather than the man and the ship. That's because you have a tongue and you clip things. But the future of communication will be more like a song. I did want to say at this time, birds don't sing and make noises, and we call songbirds. That's all projection, human projection. They say you can collect bird songs, by the way, you know, but birds don't sing. They're not out there singing away. They just make those sounds. Like my mother sees an ant, it's going home to feed its young. I said, you know that. How do you know it just didn't feed its young? You know, my mother used to project a lot into things. A lot of people do.
Although, it would seem that this solution can be put into practice, the separation of human beings by culture, language, ideas, patriotism, or the desire of educational systems to transform human beings into workers, are some huge obstacles in realizing a more useful set of languages inside the monetary system. If you relate to the information available through science, the situation is ridiculously dangerous. With so much information around, you cannot rely on a language that is so diluted and meaningless.